Regular underpants.
Bevan, where were you at the underpants run yesterday?
I've been on the road for well over 6 weeks now, and I've literally run out of underpants. So
it would have been the naked Bevan run?
It would have been the naked Bevan run, and that would have had me banned from the island.
Yeah, well, thank you for not coming, Ken.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
My pleasure. But it's race day.
Race day today. And we have a bunch of people on the show today who may make a mark on the race.
They could actually be making a mark on the race as we speak.
It is episode 5 of the Fitter and Feisty Kona Daily News Show, powered by Wahoo. I am Sara Gross from Live Feisty Media.
And I am Bevan McKenna from Fitter Radio Podcast.
And Bevan, our contest is currently running.
It is running.
It is running, and people have entered, folks. The competition is high.
A lot of people have entered.
Yes.
Because it's such a good prize to give away.
Yeah, it is a great prize. It's a power meter from 4i, dual-sided. And it's worth about $1,000 US.
Yeah.
And to enter, what you need to do is tag 3 friends in the comments below who you think might be interested in the show, and tell them how amazing Bevan and I are.
Ha, of course.
and every 3 tags is worth 1 entry to win the power meter.
Yeah, so go for gold.
Go for gold. So first off, you talked to Patrik Nilsson, who is flying under the radar a little bit in this race, but he had a great performance at Ironman Texas.
Absolutely, and you know, we were in Texas training with Jocelyn, and both Patricks, Patrik Lange, Patrik Nilsson were there at the time, and you know, I spoke to him even before this interview about his performance at Ironman Texas, where for large periods of the bike ride he matched Andrew Starkowitz. But he still got off and ran a very low 240s run. You know, in the beginning of his career, his first, you can correct me if I'm wrong, his first 2 Ironmans, I think, were under 8 hours.
Really?
Yeah. So he's
Fun facts.
Yeah. So that's my job. So he's a really, really talented athlete, and there's no reason why he can't get on the podium. So we caught up with him at the BMC team media day.
Well, you got off and ran well, and you're a guy that's quite consistently running the low 240s. It was a hot day in Texas. What do you do to prepare for that kind of run here in Kona, and do you think you're capable of producing the same run time?
I think what's different here is the hills. It's not maybe a hilly course, but it's rolling all the time. You also have Polano, where I believe you lose a minute quick just on that hill. Where Ironman Texas was maybe trickier, like a lot of
technical turns.
Yeah, technical turns. I mean, there's only one guy or a handful of guys who's running the 240s here. I don't think I will do it. It might be possible, but I will be really satisfied with a 245 run for sure.
Well, with your bike leg, making that swim pack and running a 245, that's going to get you very close to the podium.
I wouldn't count. Actually, I think try rating is it's just numbers. It's good in some ways, it's bad in some ways, but I would say you have 1, 2, 3 favorites for the podium, and then I would say there's a handful of guys who could take the 2nd or 3rd place or the win. I guess I'm one of them, but it will require something extra to be on the podium for sure.
Now, Patrik actually mentioned, you know, that Kona is a different course than Texas. In Texas, it suited Andrew Starkowitz down to the ground on the bike ride. lot of flat, long straights, not much change in the course, but Kona's, no one ever thinks Kona's a hilly course, but it actually is, both on the bike and run. In Patrick's case, he sort of shadowed Starkey for a long part of Texas, as did Jocelyn McAuley with Daniela Reef.
Yeah, so Jocelyn, super feisty.
Very feisty.
One of my personal favorite athletes, and you coach her.
I'll have to say one of my personal
Right.
favorites
So
as
we
well.
have some sentimental favoritism going on here with Jocelyn. But honestly, Jocelyn is one of those people who has stood up and said, I'm going to try to win the race, and this is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So I talked to her earlier in the week about really exactly how she plans to do that. Jocelyn McAuley, you are my pick for the feistiest pro. What say you?
I would never have guessed.
So my question for you, Feisty, is what is your plan to win the race on Saturday?
It's going to be repeat of Ironman Texas, and a little different. Yes. So go out there, swim with that front pack. I think that's necessary for anyone who's going to be in that top 5, to be honest, is going to be out of that front pack. Not Lucy or Lauren, but main pack or whatever. And so then come through transition, have a good transition, and get out there on that bike. And I think that it's going to be, this is, all theoretical in my predictions, but I think it's going to be a pack of women, kind of like 70.3 was, that will probably start splintering at Kauai High, which is the turnoff to Hawaii, basically. And then going up to Hawaii, I think it will splinter even more. I think Crowley will go with Reef. I will go with Reef. And then it will, Imogen, I actually think may be up there as well with us. And then coming down from Javi, I think it's going to splinter even more. With me and Reef and maybe other people can hold on, we'll see. And then coming back in, catching Lucy Charles, I think she will actually jump on the ship and then come into T2. And I think it's going to be a running race that will be really exciting. I think it's going to be a lot of shoulder to shoulder or pocket and pocket, basically running race there. And I plan to just hang with whoever that lead person is until Kalani. I am a good downhill runner, so sprint down Kalani and go home.
I love how specific that was. When we're watching the race on Saturday, I'm going to be thinking of you as it plays out. Jocelyn has a super clear vision about what she sees unfolding on race day, which is amazing, and I love that she shared it with us. And I understand you were on her training camp with her in Texas.
Yep, and a lot of our sessions were geared towards building the capabilities, both fitness-wise and the scenarios that would allow her to make the sessions feel like what she visualises the race actually unfolding. And I was there with another of our training partners, Hannah Wells, a professional athlete from New Zealand, and we set those scenarios up so I was on the ground the entire time.
Really? So how did that training go for you? Were you able to train with them pretty well?
Yeah, it was easy. I've been there before.
You were just right there on the bike, holding the wheel, no problem?
Yeah, I probably could have done more. It makes me wonder why I don't sort of bring my career back in some way.
Okay, so Jocelyn, your coach is Bevan McKenna, who is my co-host on the Fitter and Feisty Kona Daily News show, and he was dishing a little bit of dirt on you with us earlier.
I was surprised he didn't dish more dirt on me, to be honest.
The week is still young.
Oh, no.
So my question for you is, can you give us a little dirt on him?
Yeah, so we've been training together the last couple of weeks, and two things. So Chris, his partner, said she said that he has been training to be able to train with me for this race.
That's good.
Which he's been dropped. So, which is kind of sad if he's been training to get dropped. But we were in Ironman Texas. We were in Texas and out on a bike ride, and it was a long ride. It was going to be 130 miles. And we are literally 25 minutes into this ride. Mm-hmm. And he says, we're pulling over to that gas station to get some ice. 25 minutes, you guys. We lasted 25 minutes.
Did Bevan get hot?
No, he wanted crushed ice.
Of course. For his drinks? His water bottle?
Yeah. I mean, he did eye the liter of beer that was in there as well. He didn't get it, but But he did get some not so much LCHF, which is he's proponent of,
Right.
treats along the way.
Oh, I see. Excellent. That is good insider information because I'm going to bring candy to the set and feed it to him.
Well, you need to put him for like 80 miles first before you do that. Because the first time he came out to Ironman to Boise with me to train for Ironman Texas, we were about 80 miles into a ride. We stop at a gas station. He's majorly bonking, and he buys 2 muffins, 2 Snickers, and like he just bought like all the treats that he could find. So it was great.
Bevan, any chance you want to change your story on how that training camp went down in Texas?
There might have been 1 or 2 days where I was feeling the pinch a little bit.
You needed a frog.
And I needed a frog. And, I sat out a couple of sessions. I'll be honest now.
Okay.
Maybe I was, waxing lyrical a little bit about what
You?
I was. Yeah, totally. I know it's surprising. One of those sessions that I did sit out was a swim squad that we went to in Texas, and I managed to catch up with Patrik Lange after the swim squad, and we went out to lunch. We said, look, let's have a chat when we get to Kona. And I had a chat with Patrik a couple of days ago to find out how he's feeling leading into the race.
I want to talk to you about the bike ride. Your wife has just had a crash. Was that your fault?
No, I wasn't around. Luckily, no. I think she just hit a wind and just
Here
on the highway. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But everything's good. So it was hard crash, hard impact, broken helmet, lots of bruises, lots of road rash, and big cut. Wow! But she was lucky to went away without any broken bones. So recovering was good.
Yeah, she's got some road rash for sure. How are you feeling coming into the race?
Good. So it's good to be back on the island, so far so good. I'm quite relaxed, but I think I have done everything I could. Yeah. I trained well, prepared well, and still last 2 weeks in training camp, they had been really good. I could feel the ramping up, and so I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Okay. So you've been with Boris Stein, who's been giving you the hammer in Texas the entire training camp. Do you think that helped?
Yeah, definitely. It always helps to have good training partners around you. I had also good company with Will Clark, who's a superb athlete, and we were able to push ourselves. And that definitely helps.
Okay. The bike is such an important part for you in any races, here on the Big Island. Do you think the bike is going to be any different this year than other years?
No, I don't think that the bike will be much different, but I think the swim will be different. So we have such amazing fast swimmers, and I think my manager has to be a little bit aware of his swim record. So I think we will see a race that will go off the start line really fast, and so I think that's actually affecting the bike leg the most than the bike dynamics itself. But I try to stay cool and calm and do my race, and I think at the end it's going to be good again.
Okay. Jan's swim record could go down 46 minutes. Alistair Brownlee swam at the front of the race unwetsuited. That group could be up the road, or how's the swim form at the moment?
I think to be realistic, when they put the hammer down and they try everything to get away, I won't be able to hold that group. That's just not realistic. But if I execute a normal swim, I think the gap will be 90 seconds to 2 minutes, and that's definitely it's a long day, and I think I can run 10 to 15 minutes faster than some of these guys.
Okay.
So it's
another 2:40 run then.
Yeah, that's what I'm aiming for. Obviously, yeah, sure. Okay.
It's often said, Bevan, I'm sure you've heard this before, that the race can't be won in the swim, but it can be lost in the swim. But it seems to me that Patrik felt like the swim is kind of could go to a new level this year with the entrance of Alistair Brownlee in the race. It could actually the race possibly could hinge on the swim.
Yeah, and he's talking 90 seconds. Like, he thinks he's probably going to lose about 90 seconds to those guys out of the water, but I think in past years where Amberg has gone off the front, he hasn't taken the likes of the quality of Brownlee and maybe Frodeno and those guys with him. If those guys commit to the first part of the bike, they may not be seen again, you know. And at the whole of swim, as I've mentioned before, 46 minutes for a non-wetsuit swim, that's really, really quick.
Yeah.
And at the whole of swim, I managed to catch up with Heather Jackson, who also mentioned how she saw the day unfold. Do you think the front of the swims got faster?
Well, like faster than Lucy and Lauren standard, or?
Well, I mean the group in behind them.
Okay, yeah.
Has it become bigger?
I feel like maybe it's about right. I guess the people in that pack that might not be here anymore, like a Lizzie Blatchford, Vesterby, you have people that are back now, like a Stefan. I think, and then you have a few of the newer girls that will be up there. So it might be a couple bigger. It's probably about the same, that anywhere from whatever 52, 53, 54 group. And I was hoping that there would be kind of that middle group, like a 55, 56 group. Sky, unfortunately. I think about her every day. I mean, I had her for sure top 10, if not top 5.
And someone who might have been there on the bike as well.
Yep, exactly. So and like a Carrie Lester maybe. So I was looking for maybe that 55, 56 group. People that will maybe be in the middle for that massive group that's 57, 58. So it's always like on the day what happens, right?
Okay. You love the swim though, don't you?
Just love it. Just get me to land and I'm good.
Yeah, okay. A lot of American women on the start list this year, 12 American women.
Yeah.
Is that the biggest thing you remember? It's got to be close to
I
it.
think so. Like, yeah, for sure.
And a lot of girls coming up through the ranks as well.
Yeah, exactly. Some new faces that are crushing it this year, so it'll be interesting. Because I think there's more. Yeah, it's a new mixture of, you've got the runners who are going to be coming. You have Brady, Eddie Howe, like Sarah True, and then you have some new faces here, the bikers, like Imogen.
Imogen Simmons is going to be an interesting one, isn't she?
Some other Uber bikers, Daniela.
What about yourself? You known as an Uber biker? I see you've been putting in some pretty big run miles. How's that going?
I definitely have focused on the run this year. I've always, my bike goes up and down, but it stays pretty consistent. I can put in a good walk and feel pretty extra strong, but I always know that's where I draw my confidence from, and I wanted to bring up that run. So, I started working with Lauren Fleshman.
That's right,
in June. So, the past, 3.5, 4 months, I got to train with her squad, full marathoners. Actually, my main training partner, Carrie Mack, raced this morning, Twin Cities Marathon. She went 2:36, 34. So she was trying for that 2:37 standard.
Wow.
So she got it. So she'll race Atlanta in February. But just to learn from true runners and be pushed and get to chase them and just learn how they train and just put in the work with them. It's amazing, and it just gives you that confidence. I feel like I'm coming into the race with a plan and like pacing and what to do, and versus I've always just kind of been this like, it's a race, I'm here to race, and I go out and way too hard, I'm not pacing, I'm racing, and for me it was always this like badass way of like approaching it versus like, no, this is my plan, I'm running this pace for this, I hit 10 miles to go, it's time to float, like I just feel I have a plan, and it's just up to me to execute on the day.
Bevan, I didn't realize that Heather had been training with Lauren Fleshman. I think that's really interesting, and I'm really keen to see now how she runs today.
Yeah, I would say the same thing as well, because the swimmer's getting faster and faster at the front, and Heather's MO for this race has always been to play catch up on the bike. Whether she can do it and get close enough to front to use that run that she's been working on, but she'll spend large parts of the race on her own, and I know that she's done a heck of a lot of work on her bike setup and her bike position this year, and she's got lower down at the front because she may have to do a long period of riding on her own, and so aerodynamics are going to be crucial to her performance on the day and possibly the overall outcome. So we know how important aerodynamics are going to play a role in the outcome on the race today. And we brought in Andrew from Four Eyes, who's an aerodynamic specialist. Now, you've been in the expo and I'm sure you've looked around all the super bikes there. What are some of the trends that you're actually seeing in terms of parts and aftermarket changes in front ends and so forth?
Well, I'd say the name of the game is actually integration. So everything now is just built as one piece. It's not an afterthought.
Yeah.
So you see the hydration and nutrition that's entirely built around the bike itself.
Yeah.
Specialized has their new Shiv, and then that's got the big bottle on the back.
Yeah.
Ventum has their integrated bottle. And you're seeing more and more solutions like that that allow you to drink aerodynamically instead of strapping bottles onto the side of your $10,000 bike.
So Andrew, what I want to ask you, which I think is one of the most debated topics in terms of aerodynamics at the moment, is we're seeing the trend for the hands coming up or the hands down. Now there's two canyons in the expo with Jan Frodeno and Patrik Lange, and there's slightly different front ends. So what is the trend and what's your opinion?
So there's definitely more people going at a higher angle right now with their arms. So the main trend is just this level of integration. Same with the water bottle. So we're getting the front ends built specifically around athletes. So 3D printed, 3D custom molded bars. When you get the extensions that are built right around the arms of the athlete, you end up with something that's very smooth for the airflow. It allows it to pass off the arms nice and clean and then over the rest of the body. You don't want to introduce any extra turbulence or any extra drag through that.
Yep. Okay.
And who do you think, they're on the bike right now, who do you think are the most aerodynamic pros out there?
Well, I know firsthand, I've worked with Cody Beals and we've done countless aerodynamic tests. So we've done our virtual wind tunnel testing with him. He's been to the wind tunnel several times. Lauren Brandon, someone else we've worked with, and she's usually right up at the front. Well, after the swim, she's definitely at the front. And then even off the bike, she and Lucy 2 years ago were just basically going back and forth for most of the bike until Daniela caught them. So Lauren's quite aerodynamic. Someone like Leslie Smith, Jocelyn McAuley, who uses the morph bars.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
I agree. Now, everyone says it's so hard to get aerodynamically tested, but it's actually not nowadays, is it? And you've got a particular service, a virtual wind tunnel. So can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so the virtual wind tunnel, it's one of a couple different things that are offered right now. So we've got our own service, which is based around 3D scanning of athletes, and we do a computational fluid dynamics analysis. We can optimize the position, move it back and forth to find out what's best for a given athlete. The other thing too is some of these on-road tests. So you get the AeroPod or the Nodio Connect, things like that. And it actually ties together really nicely where you have this on-road component as well as virtual components. You can do optimization in computer space where it's cheap and efficient, and then you can confirm everything on the road with the experimental testing.
You're going to have to unpack that for me because I don't know what that is. What's an AeroPod?
So it basically just measures how quickly you're going in the air, how much air you're pushing out of the way.
Okay.
And then you measure your power at the same time. So you figure out, okay, this is your wind speed, this is your power.
Yeah.
And you do a physics calculation, just a balance of forces to figure out how much power am I putting in and how much is the air slowing me down.
Right.
So when you back that out, you know what's my drag coefficient.
Right.
You're probably going to have to unpack that again for me, actually. But are you actually saying now if you'd had some of that access to aerodynamics?
Exactly. Same question for him.
Brazil would have been?
I would have been way faster. Yeah.
I'm sorry we weren't there for you.
I know. This is what all this new technology all week we've been hearing from people, and I'm like, can't we just rewind this like 10 or 15 years to, you
could make a comeback.
I could, but I never will. Okay, well, thank you, Andrew, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And don't forget that we are having our contest right now where you can win a 4i dual-sided power meter by tagging 3 of your friends in the comments below and telling them how awesome we are and they should watch our show.
We should go and watch the race.
Oh yeah, we totally gotta watch the race.
So come back tomorrow and you'll see our race wrap up.